If you Google tapping, you're mostly going to find information about EFT, which is how I learned tapping 20 some odd years ago from Gary Craig, who actually developed EFT. Now, Gary developed EFT by tweaking a previous tapping protocol developed by Richard Callahan back in the 80s. Gary wanted to simplify the process. Richard's was pretty complicated. He wanted to simplify it and then make it more effective for himself. And then he taught it to others. And that's basically what I did in creating StoryShift tapping. Now, tapping itself it may look strange, but it's based on some pretty rock solid research by respected institutions, and it is VA approved as a treatment for PTSD. Uh, so let me show you. Well, let me show you a couple of differences. With if you've learned EFT, you know they start with this karate chop and they start with a setup phrase. Even though you name whatever's bugging you. Even though I'm mad at so and so, and then you reaffirm yourself. So you say, even though I'm mad at so and so, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. When I'm going to tell you something, when I first started typing, like I said, that was 20 some odd years ago, um, I had several issues with that. First, the positive thought movement was taking off, and I kind of had a problem stating what was bugging me. I was really afraid of attracting more of what was bothering me because I didn't yet fully understand the psychology and the physiology of how our thoughts and our stories and our memories are formed. We'll talk about that in a minute. Um, the other thing that bothered me was this uh, saying, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. That actually wasn't true for me at the time. I knew it was there meaning in here, but there were some things going on in my life to where I felt completely disconnected from that wholeness and love, and to the point where it felt like a lie right then to say I deeply and completely love and accept myself. The other thing that bothered me about EFT, because I was just starting to learn about the psychology and physiology of how our thoughts and memories and stories and subconscious are formed. Um, so the other thing that was bothering me is that this setup phrase was setting up a script. Now, if you know anything about emotions, they are completely unscripted. They tend to be unpredictable. We often don't know what's triggering them. Now, we may think something happening right now in this moment is triggering the anger or the sadness or whatever it is we're feeling. But there's also this sense, most of us have sort of an innate sense that, oh, I've had this feeling before, you know, and we don't want our healing work to be scripted, because what we would really like to have happen is to heal not only this moment, not only deal with the emotion in this moment, but somehow get to all those previous moments. We want to make peace with our past. And speaking for myself, I didn't want to have to remember every triggering experience, every traumatic experience, remembering that trauma can be the big T things that we all think of, and then small T things. Anytime, we're not really feeling part of our own lives, we're upset, we're whatever. I mean, little T trauma happens every day. So I had those issues, those three issues with this first setup thing. So it's like, okay, that's not working for me. The other thing I had an issue with that didn't work for me was how EFT ends. It ends on a turnaround phrase like, I'm choosing another thought, or another emotion, or I'm letting this go, or whatever. And that felt like a false cutoff. Now, if you do any kind of physical activity, I'm a walker, I'm a lifelong walker. My sister's a runner. If you do, maybe you go to the gym, but whatever you do physically, your body keeps reaping the benefit for a while after you stop. So if I go out for a brisk walk, my body keeps reaping those benefits for a while after I'm back home and, you know, just puttering around the house. And I had this feeling that the same was true for emotional healing, and I didn't want to cut it off. So those were kind of my issues. Now, the other thing that I was starting to learn, because at that point I was beginning to learn about the psychology and physiology, was that we want to be working directly with our nervous system and with our subconscious, because we're kind of trained and conditioned in our modern world to deal mostly with thought. Well, thought is conscious. And you've seen the images of the iceberg where about what 10 or 20% is what's visible, and then the other 80 or 90% is invisible. And we're a lot like that as humans. So the thought piece is visible, it's conscious, but the emotional piece, the piece that stays in our bodies, well, that's subconscious. And we can't always get there directly. So that's one of the beauties of EFT is it does work directly with your nervous system and with your subconscious. Well, how does that happen? EFT is what EFT, excuse me, tapping. Let me get my own terminology correct here. Tapping is sometimes, well, it's based on the same principles as acupuncture, which mostly deals with physical pain. Well, physical pain always has an emotional component. And so if this emotional component is sort of lying behind the physical pain, because, all right, think about this. Some people can do something and it's physically, and it's very painful to them. Others, it won't be painful. Now, granted, some of that's just your body physiology. Some of it can also be emotional. Same thing happens with ailments and illnesses and all that. There's an emotional component. Am I saying we make ourselves sick? No, but I am saying that there's an emotional component. We are whole people. We are intellect, thought, we're emotion, we're a physical body, and we are a spiritual body, a soul. Okay. And so if we want to work with ourselves holistically, we've got to address more of this wholeness. Right. So back to tapping. It's based on the same principles as acupuncture and is sometimes called, well, both acupressure and tapping are sometimes called non-invasive acupuncture. And the way it works is you've got some kind of like clog somewhere in your nervous system. Something's stuck and then it's kind of fritzing. It's trying to get itself unstuck. And a lot of times I will use an infinity symbol to illustrate this. So if you think in terms of the infinity, think of it like a flow. We hear a lot about energy flow. And y'all, emotion, that's energy in motion. That's all it is. But when it's not in motion, so picture this again, when it's not in motion, you've got this dot. And I like kind of saying this right here, but you've got this dot in the center of the infinity symbol. Well, when energy, flow, emotion, even thought goes passing through that dot, one of two things is going to happen. It is either energized and amplified, or it's stuck and then it starts fritzing, trying to get through that blockage. Okay. And so this is what we want to deal with. All right. Acupuncture, you stick that needle in and it kind of like blasts, it's like unknots that one little place. So you stick multiple needles in and they unknot those little places. I've had acupuncture. If you've had it, my sensation is almost like, it's like, oh, there's like a stick and then there's relief. It's almost like you can physically feel it relaxing, but initially there's like, oh, I felt that. And then you feel the relaxing. Tapping's a little bit like that. And it's also very different. Let me show you the tapping points that we use in StoryShift tapping, which is my version of tapping. It's worked beautifully for me for 20 years, and for my clients and others I've taught it to. Let me show you the tapping points. Let me show you what it looks like, and then we'll practice a little bit. So we're tapping on specific places on our upper body, on our head, our face, and our upper body, starting at the top of the head. I like starting at the top of the head because I sort of imagine that it's preparing me to sort of be open, like a vision of open to receive kind of thing. But I start on the top of my head, just tapping lightly. I use 2 fingers and I use the top of them. It's fine. You can do flat, which, you may want to do if you've got longer fingernails. Some people do 1, some do 3. That doesn't matter. Oh, and it does not matter if you use your right hand or your left hand. Some people even use both. For me, it's like 2 fingers with my right hand like this. All right, start on the top of the head right here. And then next is right here at the inside of your eyebrow. And then right here, right at the corner of your eye. Then under your eye, you can kind of feel the little eye bone, eye socket right there. Under your nose, under your lips, right here in your chin, kind of like in that little dent in your chin. Right here on your collarbone, you can kind of feel it right there. And then under your arm, I'm not quite in the camera, but for a lady, it's about where your bra strap would be if you wear one. So under there, and then back to the top of the head. All right. And that is sort of sending a little signal, a little energetic signal through our nervous system. Now, what happens while we're doing this? What are we doing? Well, we're actually going to speak the emotion. We're going to start with whatever emotion is front and center foremost for us right now. We'll start there. So I love to use being angry at someone as an example because it can be very graphic. And let's say you're angry at someone very dear to you, your spouse or your partner or even your child, but someone who's very dear to you, but boy, howdy, you are mad at them right now. So, you just start. I'm so mad at you. Oh my God, I'm so mad at you. How could you? How could you? How could you say that? How could you do that? How could you be so thoughtless and selfish? This bothers me. You know how I feel about this. And let the emotions guide you. Because I'm going to tell you, let whatever is inside you come out. Let it come out of your mouth, which, by the way, is why we do this in private. When I first learned this, I'd go hide in the bathroom. And I had one client, her children were small, and she would go hide in the back of her walk-in closet. You don't have to do that, but just somewhere where you can be in private and just let it rip. Let whatever wants to come out of your mouth, let it fly. So, here you go. I'm mad at you. I'm so mad at you. I'm so angry. Well, if you just follow the feeling, let the feeling well up in you and come out of your mouth, you might find yourself going, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Do you really hate this person? A lot of times the answer is no. But this is what triggering is all about. What probably happened was this person that you're mad at right now, for whatever reason, they probably said something or did something, or there was something in their demeanor that somewhere back in your subconscious reminded your subconscious of something that happened a long time ago. You may not remember it, but all of that is still stuck in your body. And we experience those stuck emotions as stress, as physical illness and ailments, as hair trigger tempers, as people pleasing. We experience them in all sorts of ways that we inherently know aren't that healthy for us. They're not that helpful to us, but we don't really know where it's coming from. Well, the beauty of tapping is you don't have to know where it's coming from. Let me say this. You'll hear me say it a million times. 1,000,001 is not too many. It cannot come out of your mouth if it's not in here somewhere. let it get up and out. So now's where we want to talk about the psychology and the physiology of how this stuff gets stuck in our body. And this is how our memories are formed, um, how our stories are formed, how our thoughts are formed. It does not start with thought. So as humans, we're given senses. And as little kids, we learn the five senses. They're what is it? Taste, touch, smell, sight, hearing. Okay. We have a lot more senses than that. And our emotional sensory, that our emotional sensory system is probably the strongest of all. It's also the one we've been taught to ignore. We've been taught to stuff down, push away, let it go, analyze, um, think positive. We've been taught to do everything except feel it, push it away, push those emotions away. Well, this is actually harmful to us, because here's what happens. We're getting all this sensory input, and it doesn't matter if the sensory input is, oh, that stove is hot. Yeah, your fingers, whatever you touch that stove with, they will tell you that the stove is hot. But what really gets stored, that might get stored as, well, don't touch a stove again. But it's the emotional piece that really gets stored in our body. And it's the story we create around what that means that gets stored in our subconscious. So getting burned you could say, oh, don't want to do that again. I'll remember that. But it could just as easily say, oh, cooking's bad. Cooking's dangerous. I'm not going to cook anymore. And we don't know why. But here's what's happening. We get all the sensory input, all of this. And it's the emotional piece that's really going to have an impact on us. And we shoot this whole bundle of sensory input up to our brains. Our brains translate all of this feeling stuff, whether it's physical or emotional, they translate all this feeling stuff into words. Words are how we communicate as humans. Those words that have come from our feelings and then been shot up to our brains, those words become our thoughts. They become our memories, both conscious and subconscious, because we have far more subconscious memories than we have conscious memories. Remember the iceberg thing. They become our stories, again, our conscious and our subconscious stories. They become our inner programming, which is what our subconscious does. It's like the programming in your computer, the coding in your computer. It's the operating system. Well, in humans, the operating system is our nervous system. And it's run on neurotransmitters, and they are emotionally driven. So again, the physiology. We get all the sensory input, both physical and emotional. We shoot this up to our brain, translates into words. The words become our thoughts. See, words are a result. They're not a starting point. Our thoughts are a result, not a starting point. Translates them into words, then the words become our thoughts, our memories, and our stories. Now, what's really important here is this is affected by everything that's ever happened to us, starting from the day we were born. It's not a clean sweep from here to here. You and I could be standing in exactly the same place at exactly the same time, experiencing exactly the same thing. And what gets from here to here in me and creates my thoughts, memories, and stories will be completely different from what happens for you, which, by the way, is why eyewitness testimony is not reliable. So what we want to do when we're healing, when we're doing our healing work, yes, we can deal with what's happening right now, but what we really want to do is use it as a catalyst. So if emotions are energy in motion, what's the purpose of emotions? Okay. What is going on here? Well, emotions are telling us what we think and what we feel, and they're actually driving our nervous system. As women, um, you certainly know about the relationship between hormones and emotions, or between stress and emotions. And so we want to heal at this most fundamental level, at the nervous system level. And speaking for myself, I love to be able to do it without me having to go find every trigger point in my life that ever brought me to this point where I'm mad. In our example, I'm mad at my husband. I mean, I love this man, but he makes me mad. We're humans. you know? So back to the tapping. Let's kind of run through this again. So you start at the top of your head with whatever emotion is happening right now. Maybe you got cut off in traffic and it pissed you off, or maybe somebody made you mad or hurt your feelings. Whatever is going on, start there and just start saying it. And whatever wants to come out of your mouth, let it. Do not judge it. Do not try to stop it. Do not criticize it in any way. It cannot come out of you, out of your mouth, if it's not in you. What we're doing is processing it so it can deliver its information. This is what emotions do. They're just an information system. And what they want to do is deliver their information and move on out. They do not want to take up residence in our bodies and in our lives. Okay. So here we go. Let's stick with being mad. I'm so mad at you. I'm so mad at you. How could you? Good Lord. You know how I feel about this. You know it makes me mad. How many times have we talked about this? How many times? Ah, ah, ah. Now, I'm going to tell you, sometimes I holler just like that, or I just like, ah. It's, at first I was like, oh my God, my inner toddler is popping out. Well, maybe it is. And maybe it needs to pop out. And maybe we need to stop like squishing it down and let it out. We want to feel it quickly and safely, because that's why we had that emotion in the first place, is it wanted to inform us in some way. And then it wanted to leave. It feels like it's in jail here and it's trying to break out of jail, which, by the way, is why you can experience repeat emotions and repeat relationships and repeat situations and repeat circumstances until we deal with it at this innermost nervous system subconscious level. It's going to keep trying to deliver its information before it will leave. Okay. All right. One last time on the points without all my little drama, because you will get to bring your own drama. Top of the head, inside of the eyebrow, corner of the eye, under the eye, between the nose and the upper lip, under the bottom lip, in the middle of the chin, collarbone, under the arm, around where your brow start would be, and then back to the top of the head. I like starting and ending on the top of the head. I don't know if that's absolutely necessary. It works for me, so try it. And again, if you like the setup point, experiment with it. I've given you my reasons why it didn't work for me, but part of the beauty of tapping is we can make it our own. As long as we stay focused on the goal, which is to finally, quickly, and safely process all these old pent-up emotions that are, having an impact that we don't really like in our present life. Just stay focused on that. Whatever wants to come out of your mouth, let it. Let it. Don't try to stop it or judge it in any way. As long as you do that, it's going to be fabulous. Fabulous. Now, habit. I tap on stuff every day. Every day. There are folks who will say once they kind of got themselves really clear, they didn't really tap all that often. Maybe I'm just more human than the rest of them. I don't know. But we are human, and it's normal and natural to have little irritations even when we're having a really good day. So why not? I mean, why not? I got cut off in traffic. I use this example a lot. It's like I got cut off in traffic one day. I was just running to the grocery store. It's 5 minutes from my house. And this person cut me off, nearly hit the front of my car and was oblivious. I'm like, ah, yes. Well, I mean, I don't recommend tapping while you're driving because you can't really focus on either one. But as soon as I got to the Publix parking lot, I kind of parked a little way away from everybody, and I'm sitting in the Publix parking lot doing this. I figure they've seen weirder stuff. Who cares? This is for me. This is for me. And if I'm willing to do what I need to do whenever I need to do it, that's great. If you are somewhere though where you can't quickly get somewhere, it's fine. When you get home or you get somewhere private, it's fine to, like work with it then, because I can promise you it's not going anywhere until you help it work its way through. Okay. If it's still on your mind, it's asking for your help to work its way through. It's trying to get your attention. Okay. So that's story shift tapping. Try it. Let me know if you have any questions. You can message me on Facebook or through the website. Let me know what you think. Bye for now.